Hello world, Christopher here. I'm on to the type video part 2, the fusion theory part 2. I know that the first one went almost 20 minutes and I'm sorry. I'm going to try and bust through this as fast as possible, but it's a long story. It's the story of several lives. Okay, so today we're going to talk about how the fusion theory of four types got fused into and melded with posture release imagery and became type-based imagery. And most of this video is going to be about Mr. John Appleton, the creator of posture release imagery, and how this whole thing entered my life and the world in general. So let's get started. Hi, I'm Christopher with the Frequency Academy. Like and subscribe, all that jazz. But this isn't about me. This is an astounding story about an astounding man. His name is John Appleton. He grew up in Denver, Colorado. He's run a website called posturereleaseimagery.org for 20, 30 years, a long time. And boy, I came across John's work in 2005, 2006, when I first ran into the Alexander technique. I was Googling Alexander and his website came up. And I looked at it and I said, whoa, this guy is either an absolute genius or an absolute schizophrenic madman. You know, I don't know what his diagnosis would be. It reminded me of the scene in A Beautiful Mind where she discovers this guy's hideout. And it's really funny. I'm going to play it for you here. Okay, let's go over here. And like that lady, I just kind of ran away. I said I just don't think that I'm the one right now to ascertain whether this is brilliant or crazy. So fast forward to 2022, 2021, somewhere in the pandemic, and my Alexander teacher had passed away. Margene McKenna had passed away. Quick side note, my mother always talked to dead people. She had the most incredible stories about dead people coming to visit her and asking her to do things, asking her to tell people certain things. Every time someone passed, she would just routinely talk to dead people. And so when Margene passed away, I tried to talk to her. And she didn't have a whole lot to say. She basically said, look, I told you over and over everything I had to say while I was alive. Like, I gotta go. But bigger and better things. Like, I'm out of here. I did my work. You got my message. But I heard her one day. I was hanging out, just browsing Facebook, and I saw a post from John Appleton. The first post he had made to his Facebook account in, 7, 8 years, something. And I saw this post and I was like, oh, that's different. And I heard Margene's voice. And she said, Chris, go. Like, follow this. Talk to this man. And so I sent him a message and I said, hey, you've got great work. I'm an Alexander teacher, and I think your work's really interesting. You talk about a book on your website. Have you been able to publish it? And that began an extraordinary relationship with this man. And I could talk about his work all day, but I want to show you what I saw. Let me go over to my Finder here. So these are just images that this man drew. He in the type video, I talked about Sonia Gilligan in the New York in the late 60s, and this man was there in that room. He kind of got a little bit upset at me for that type video because it was pretty inaccurate as far as the history of the types. I said that Sonia and Mike developed it when really Sonia developed it. Mike had very little to do with the discovery of the thing. And it was John's wife at the time, Liz, who helped Sonia discover the hip-based variation of the types, the divergent types, the Hummers and explosives. And so John was in the room, and he was there when the fusion theory was being developed. And then later on, I don't know, not quite a decade later, he was certified to be an Alexander teacher with Joan and Alex Murray, who specialized in developmental movement, evolutionary biology, all evolutionary movement, the Raymond artwork. The Murrays were they were great, and John studied with them. And after he graduated, he's like, I really don't understand what in the world she was doing. It helped, but what she did, she got him thinking about the body and thinking about movement and thinking about embodiment. And over the next, it was a gradual series of discoveries that he had, but over the next couple of decades, he basically sat at home alone all day at his kitchen table and did these drawings and discovered these principles and had this vision that he called posture release imagery. And I mean, these images are the remnants of a madman. I mean, look at the density and the depth of this thought. And to think that he really had nobody to discuss it with, to develop it with, to bounce it off of. Much like happened to me, 99% of the people he would talk to would see him as a raving lunatic. I mean, I hate to say it, but he's hitting a target that no one else can see, you know? Anyway, so what he discovered is way too long for this video. I mean, his work is so deep and so wide and so beautiful. I'm just going to touch on a piece of it, on one of these discoveries that he's made. Let me go back to the images here, and I'm going to pick up one that I think really is essential in his relationship to Sonia Gilligan's types. Okay. It's this image. And what John discovered was that there are two modes to our head and two modes to our hips. And together, this 2x2 matrix creates 4 possible types that correlate to Sonia's 4 emotions. So if you look at this top bar here, this is the controlled types among us. They have their forehead is further forward than their chin. Their face tends to scrunch together at the nose. These are the controlled types. This second line with the heads tipped back are withdrawn types. And the tails here, if they're pitched up, then they're explosive types. And if they're sunken down, then that makes us a withdrawn type. This was basically the fundamental discovery. It came about through different ways, but this is how he's illustrated how this head and tail difference plays out in the posture of humans. And that these people don't just have this postural tendency, they have the associated emotional tendency as well. And so he's gone on to create, I don't know, I wouldn't be surprised if it was hundreds of exercises to experience these different types in your own body. But the beautiful idea and the beautiful insight that he made, let me make this a little bigger for you, is that the 4 types correlate to 4 stages of movement, 4 stages of a wave that ripples through our movement system. And that the humming withdrawn type, the soft, the tipped back head and the tipped down hips, the total mellowest of us all, has all 4 feet on the floor and is resting. And from there, this wave can flow 2 directions, but here it takes a leap, and the back legs energize as the front legs reset and soften. So this creature flings itself forward by engaging and pushing its legs and letting its arms soften. The creature is mid-flight when both of its limb girdles, its arms and its legs, are both reaching and at their maximum extension. This is explosive controlled. And then the creature lands and its arms engage to meet the floor, and its legs are reset to get lined up and place themselves for a new round. Anyway, it's a 4-stage wave through the sine wave, and John calls these different phases of the waves frozen types, frozen waves within us. And he goes on to describe, it's way more than I can present in this video. These 4 waves correlate the direction of our eyeballs. These creatures are looking different directions. We all have different types based on this. There's there's front and back waves, side to side waves, and tubular waves that all have the same patterns. I can't even go into these different, all of John's ideas. I love this image where he's talking about the presence of sensation on our body surface or on our skin. and how it varies, and how this type has a very active and present leg structure, and their arms are almost turned off. And this type is the opposite. This is a humming controlled and an explosive withdrawn type. This is an explosive controlled whose hips and head are on, and this is a humming withdrawn whose this is my type, and I just feel it, and I recognize these types in my dance students, and in the cashiers that I run into at the grocery store. These types are extraordinary. And Sonia Gilligan, I mean, she had no conception of the postural wave and what John saw. He sent her his work, and she kind of saw it like everyone else, like that video of A Beautiful Mind, like, whoa, this is pretty wild. Anyway, it took about a year of me going through John's work and thinking about what he was saying and trying to look out for it before all of a sudden one day it crystallized. And I was at a tango festival, and I was talking to John about his drawings, and all of a sudden on the dance floor I could see 4 types of dancers and different interactions they would have between each other. And it blew my mind, and it's something that I cannot unsee now. Everyone I meet, I can feel their type. They're my mother, my father, my lover, or my sibling. And it has changed everything. It's changed everything. All right, I'm already at almost 20 minutes. I apologize for that. Again, this is just the beginning. I've been working to help John publish the book that he's never published. And I think it's such a beautiful thing. And thank you for watching. And stay tuned for episode 3, when I'm going to talk about how this all fits into the framework for integration and my Alexander training with Luc Vanier and his crew. Then after that, I'm going to talk about part 4 and how this fits into the Frequency Academy and the sacred geometrical hermetic vision of reality that I grew up in. So all my love, my friends. Thank you for listening. I'll see you soon.